Hello and welcome along to another episode of this FM19 story, The Head Coach with me, Daniel. It's Season 10, Episode 10, and it's the first of two major cup finals in 2 episodes as we face Manchester City in the FA Cup final at Wembley. But first, we need to confirm some other news as well. Manchester City are champions of the Premier League. We knew that at the end of the last episode anyway, but they have gone on and won the game in hand too, so it wouldn't have mattered even if they'd lost last time out. But for those of you who missed it, we beat Manchester United on the final day of the season, and we confirmed our highest ever Premier League finish and our highest career finish in this series. So a brilliant achievement from the boys, and we're drastically overachieving given our budget. We should be down in 5th or 6th place where Fulham and Liverpool are. But that doesn't matter today as we play the champions at Wembley. We'd expect them to be favourites as they're clearly the best side in England this season, but we did put them out of the Carabao Cup, so I'm hoping we'll be able to do something special today. But before that, we obviously haven't got any games to talk about, but I want to talk a little bit about jobs in the summer. There's absolutely no hiding the fact that I want to go this year. We really can't compete any higher than we are, given the playing budget we've got. I'm not sure if we've actually been given a budget for next season yet. We haven't, so we've got to wait for that. Hopefully now we're back in the Champions League, we'll be able to get a bigger budget, but last time we said that and didn't get much at all. But we are going to have a quick look at the dynamic screen. It's something I said we were going to focus on today, just as we did on training in the last episode. So one key bit of information for us: since Machalov's become first choice keeper again, he's no longer unhappy. He's happy with the amount of football he's getting, so that's one problem solved. John Suarez, our director of football, has been trying to sell for I don't know how long. He's not been able to do it, which probably says more about Suarez than the club, so we're not too worried about him. But we did want to look at the hierarchy of the dynamics, because we've got a bit of a changing of the guard coming in the next year or two here. Hopefully we won't be there to see it, but we do need to prepare for the summer as if we're going to be here, as we've not been able to get out the last summer or two. So one of the team leaders, and in fact the club captain, David Raya at the moment, he's now our backup keeper after a string of errors which meant Machalov's taken over from him. Machalov's got a better star rating as well, so one of the team leaders is going to be potentially unhappy, or at the very least dropping down that hierarchy. Arzani and Lewis have still got a year or two in them, but even Arzani now is touching 30. He's 29 years of age. Lavanas is coming through and he's rated just as well, so potentially he could be taking over soon. Jamal Lewis is at the age of 30 as well. He is physically fit at the moment and he's retired from international duty, but again it's only a year or two before the likes of Rene Bazan can take over. He's rated just as well, in fact slightly better, but it's not his natural position, so as a result he could be a superstar, and all of those players could potentially not be first teamers. In the highly influentials we've got the likes of Ezri Konsa. He's likely to be taken over by Mafluthi next year, who's got a better star rating now as well, and Leonardo's in the other players as well, the January signing, and he's rated better than Billy Gilmore and will probably take over from that highly influential player next year. So we've got a lot of change going on. We've also got the same with Joe Gomez at right back. He's into his 30s now as well. He turns 31 in just a week or two's time, and he's going to probably be replaced by Pedro, who at 26 has got much more left in the tank. So we've got to think next season the impact on the dynamics could be really poor, and although it's good having familiar players who understand the culture and the way the club should perform, it could cause us problems later down the line if a lot of them aren't in the first team at the same time. But hopefully before then we'll be able to get a move. As I've said, I want to manage in all of Europe's big leagues. We do want to have a chance at winning the Premier League, but I'm not prioritising it for my next role. The one club that's got a huge reputation compared to us here is Manchester United. The City job obviously isn't available as they've won the Premier League, but Jose Mourinho has finally left Manchester United. We mentioned in the last game of the season, they've got the likes of Mauricio up front, who is an absolute superstar and a model professional at just 23. They've also got Thompson, who's a superstar, and all of the players are worth an absolute stack load of money. And perhaps more importantly than that, they've got a relatively young side, or a side where most of the players are in their peak. A few of the older boys are leaving and a little bit of experience is dotted around, but I really think we could take that club a long way. Although it wouldn't be my first choice, I'd rather move abroad first and then come back to England after. But we've got to keep this save realistic, as we mentioned. If we get offered the Manchester United job and we get offered the same amount of money, we cannot turn it down, as they've got money to burn. They're in the Champions League next year and we could really have a go at winning the big titles. Here we're going to be resigned to the likes of the Europa League and the Carabao Cup, and maybe even the FA Cup today. But you can see in terms of insecure jobs, Bayern Munich's also there as well. They finished third in the Bundesliga. I better just check that actually, because the season might not have finished, but they are there with one game to go. They could still finish second, but they're not going to catch Borussia Dortmund at the top. The Real Madrid job was here a week or so ago, but it doesn't seem to be anymore. The same applies for a couple of the big Italian sides, so it looks like there's not going to be as much to choose from as we thought. If we go and have a look at the Spanish First Division, just to see why Real Madrid keeps flicking on and off, it's because they're in second place. Let's see if they've got to the Champions League final. I'm not quite sure how they've been doing in that competition. So they lost in the first knockout round of that one. They did win the Spanish Cup against Barcelona, so maybe that's what's keeping them in a job, but it looks like that one may become available. Atletico are dropping down as well, so there could be some jobs coming up in Spain, but the Bundesliga, Spain or the Italian League would all be my first priority. If not, we'll take the 5-star reputation at United if we're lucky enough to get offered the job. The main thing for us is getting a side at the elite level who can compete for every single trophy they're in, rather than us having to prioritise our lineup to try and fit around certain competitions. If we'd had an extra bit of money in the summer and got 2 or 3 superstars in, I really think we could have won the league this year, but again it doesn't look like we're going to get that budget next season as the club continues to struggle in debt. It's gone up to 7 million now, but that's after receiving the 40 million or so for finishing second in the league. You can see before that we were well in the red, so that doesn't really bode well for the future. But that's not got to be worried about today. We're into an FA Cup final against Manchester City, a chance to complete the domestic cup double over 2 years. Last season we won the Carabao Cup, and now we're in our second FA Cup final. Hopefully this time we'll do a bit better. Wembley sold out, Manchester City are the favourites. They've got an injury and a few players doubtful, but we're missing 2 attacking stars as well. So let's look at the lineup we've picked for today based on that. We've made one slightly controversial change on the left wing. The rest of the team is the same as the last episode. Mason Greenwood comes in for Hayek, who doesn't even make the squad, as we try to go to a more attacking formation, and more importantly a more natural one, with an inside forward off the left hand side. We've got Machilov keeping his place in goal as our number 1, Gomez and Lewis are the fullbacks, Konza and Yanderson in the middle as always, with Douglas Luiz in his Segundo Volante role. We've got Billy Gilmore as the deep line playmaker, Arzani and Greenwood on the wings as we've mentioned, though neither of them playing as wingers, as we continue with our normal roles and duties. Ranzan's the attacking midfielder on an attacking duty, in behind Florentin Bernard up front, who passes a fitness test after picking up a knock last week to take his place in the team for the final. He's got 24 goals this year, our hopes are pinned on him, and fingers crossed he'll be able to do something special today as we try to win the FA Cup. Here we go then, the 4-2-3-1 for City. The only difference with their one is they play a more defensive 2-man midfield. They both play as deep line midfielders. They've still got Leroy Sané and Gabriel Jesus in there. Ederson's in goal as well. But the likes of Kimpembe and De Bruyne, who we've so often seen here in recent seasons, aren't playing in this one, although De Bruyne I can see is on the bench. They've got Mercado, the best left back in the world, who's also their captain. So it's going to be a really tough test today, and I think we may have to drop to a standard mentality quite quickly. I've just gone back to see what Mikel Antia wanted, as I wasn't paying attention. He wants them to prove a point, so let's go and prove a point. Most of the lads are motivated. We're going to get into the first half, and if we don't get under pressure in the first few minutes, we'll stay with our positive mentality. If City look like they're getting on top early on, we'll drop to balance as we have before. We did it against United to good effect in the semi. We've had one shot off camera in the match, and unfortunately after 5 minutes there's not been any highlights, and it remains goalless at Wembley. Well, a quarter of the game gone, we've not seen a highlight until now. It looks like we're slightly on top from the stats. We've had the only shot on target, but we've not seen any of that on camera in highlights, as unfortunately they weren't deemed worthy. I noticed they've got Calderaro on the bench. He scored the winner for them against Burnley, who won them the title, but unfortunately he's got a knock in this one, so it looks like they're just saving him. We would have put Barrett on the bench for today as well, our star inside forward from the left, but unfortunately with the Europa League in midweek, we need to make sure he's fit. But Florentin Bernard's in from a brilliant Arzani ball, and Ederson makes an absolutely amazing save. There's then a flying challenge in the box, and I'm not quite sure how that's been given as a goal kick. It's Sarr the left back who made that challenge. He's not the left back, in fact, it's Mercado. They've spread their centre halves really wide. Here's Leroy Sané. He gets it to Gabriel Jesus, who plays it back to him. Sané skins Gomez on the right, who gets back to recover, but doesn't stop the cross. Konza heads it away, but it's only to the edge of the box. He finds Gabriel Jesus again. Now it's back to the midfielder, and now Morin. He gets it wide to Mercado to skin skipper. Can he find a bit of quality? He is the star player in this game. It's Gabriel Jesus to Van Riel, and what a wonderful finish that is from the winger. I've not had a look at him to see how good he is. Let's just find out. He is absolutely world class, and with the likes of Mercado and Van Riel, we're starting to see why City are dominating the Premier League. They're absolutely brilliant, and they lead 1-0 with 25 minutes gone. It looks like it's going to be heartache at Wembley again in another FA Cup final. Let's talk to the lads and demand a bit more, just to see if in the 10 minutes before the break they can get on top. But we have dominated the stats. It's just City have scored with their only shot on target, and a wonderful finish from a half chance it was. A long ball forward from Ederson. It only goes as far as Gomez, and he nods it down for Douglas Luiz. Plays it back to the right back. We finally got a warning to close down Van Riel. Looks like Antia hasn't done his homework and has just reacted to what's happened in game. But Ramzan's got the ball on the edge of the box and has shown why he's not quite as good by putting the ball lazily wide of the post. It was a really tame effort anyway. If it had been on target, it had been an easy save, but we're back with the ball in goal with Machilov. He rolls it out to Douglas Luiz. Billy Gilmore in the middle, out to the left-hand side, and now Mason Greenwood. A rare appearance for him today, and what a proud one it is in the FA Cup final. Ramzan to Lewis overlapping on the left. We've got two in the middle, but it's back to Greenwood. He's tried to find Gilmore. Douglas Luiz is inside him. He goes for a speculative effort, and it's straight into the arms of Ederson. We had a 3-on-2 in front, so I'm not quite sure why he shot. It seemed a little bit greedy there. We've got a warning to close down the right back for City as well. We could close down all of them. They're all brilliant players, but unfortunately at the break, despite dominating the game, we trail 1-0 to a wonder strike. Let's talk to the lads and try and fire them up. We're going to tell them we're not happy with what we've seen. In truth, we've been the better side and we really are quite pleased with it, but we haven't really looked like scoring too much. Only that one brilliant save from Ederson. Here's Van Riel, the goal scorer, the man who's made the difference with a moment of magic. We haven't got any players that are anywhere near as good as him, although he's just passed the ball out for a throw in to us. Jamal Lewis takes it. Greenwood flicks it on, but it's gone straight back to Van Riel again. They've got the ball at right back. Now Van Riel, charging at the full back but goes inside. They've got so many options in midfield. Morin finds Jesus and now Leroy Sané. Back to Jesus again, just over the bar, and City still have only had the one shot on target, which led to their goal in the first half. 5 minutes into the second, we still trail 1-0, and we've got to start to think about subs in a moment. Two of our most influential attacking game changers aren't available in the squad today, so we're going to have to think a little outside the box if we want to get back into this one. Just over an hour gone, the lads are all motivated, but they're just not quite good enough. Gilmore's got the ball to Luiz, though he scored a few from here, goes for the shot just wide. That's one of the closest efforts we've had in this half. Douglas Luiz with a brilliant shot, but it's just wide of the post. We've got a quarter of the game to go, so we're going to make a couple of changes. Ranzan's going to come off, he's had a poor game. Arzani has to go in the middle, as we don't have Oliveira available, and then Adriano Lavinas will come on the right, in his preferred winger role. Hopefully he'll be able to do something special there. Florentin Bernard's not had the best game up front. He's still motivated at the moment though, so we're going to give him 5 more minutes, and Rene Bazan's going to come on at left back, and he's going to replace Jamal Lewis, who's had a poor game. So 2 subs made. We'll give it until 75 minutes, and then we'll change Bernard for Martin if we need to. Right, we've got there with no further highlights. The change has to be made. Florentin Bernard off, Bernard Martin on. Changing of the guard perhaps. Let's see if he can make himself a hero in the last 10. It looks like City have had another shot on target. Again, we haven't seen it on camera. But with 10 minutes to go, we're going to go very attacking. And we're just going to tell the lads to push forward. It's Joe Gomez with a throw at right back. He finds Arzani and now Lavinas. Lucky deflection to Luiz. Bernard Martin's been put in by Gilmore. Beats one man, forces a save from Ederson. Just didn't have the pace to get away from the defender, and is tipped wide for a corner kick. Lavinas will deliver the in-swinger to the back post. It's an easy header for the City midfielder, and Leroy Sané can bring it away as the highlight ends with 5 minutes remaining. It's a throw on the left for City. We're throwing men forward, so it's unlikely that we're going to not concede chances. City will probably get 1 or 2 more. Not the most coherent sentence I've ever put together. As Van Riel delivers, it deflects off the fullback, and it's behind for a corner kick to City. De Bruyne gets the ball in, Konza heads away, Sané with a shot which is blocked, and City are getting on top again now. They're seeing out the game really professionally. They've brought on the experienced players like De Bruyne just to try and see out the last few minutes, and Bentancur as well in the middle is a world-class player with plenty of years of experience who seems to be showing it now. Mohamedi with a cross which is blocked behind again, and it looks like City are going to see out this game easily. It's going to be crossed in by De Bruyne, who seems to have changed to squad number 14 for some reason. He delivers the outswinger, doesn't take too long. Yanderson heads it away for Lavinas. He flicks flicks it on to Martin. Now can we throw players forward? The highlight ends, we don't even see it, so I'm presuming it didn't come to too much. It's Doumbia at right back. He goes back to Ederson. We've got 2.5 minutes of stoppage time left. If we can just create that one more chance and really see if we've got it in the tank. It's Leroy Sané on the left wing. He beats his man and finds Van Riel, and on the edge of the box the game changer looks like shooting, but then passes it back to the right wing. It's cleared away down the field and the highlight ends, and unfortunately it's still 1-0 to City. Gomez finds Douglas Luiz in the middle. He finds Gilmour. Douglas Luiz with possession again. He finds Arzani, and now Gilmour. Out to Bazan. We've got an overlap here. Delivers to Arzani. It's a brilliant chance, but he heads it wide. He just didn't get enough of a glance on it, and it's cleared away for a throw-in on the right, which will be taken by Joe Gomez. He finds Douglas Luiz in the middle. Switches to play for Bazan. We've got a man over on the left in Greenwood. He cuts it inside to Gilmour. Gilmour into the box, delivers but it's blocked, and he's out for a throw with just one more chance. We've got 20 seconds or so left. It's going to be taken by Bazan. He delivers it short to Arzani. Gilmour can get it across. It's wildly overhit. What an awful delivery by Gilmour. And we've lost the FA Cup final for the second time in 3 years. And unfortunately, we're just one game away from going trophyless. Manchester City lift the title. Congratulations for them on a domestic double. Van Riel with an absolutely brilliant strike after we played really well and were probably the better side. The lads are motivated because it was one of those days. We're not going to fault any of them because we need to keep morale high for Wednesday night where we entertain Lyon in the Europa League final. I'm not quite sure where it's been played this year, so we'll go and have a quick look in a minute. Manchester City lift the FA Cup, a really even game. They only had 4 shots in the whole match. We had 12, but there weren't many of them on target. We're defeated again. We get £1 million, and the squad bonus payout is just under half of that. So again, the club trying to make a profit. So there's the confirmation with the runners up. Stevenage were the biggest overachievers, one of our former sides in this series of course, and Chelsea are the underachievers, which again shows how well we're performing against our more wealthy rivals. So after all of our competitions this year, losing in the Carabao Cup semi-final on penalties, losing the Premier League on the last week of the season, losing the FA Cup final to Manchester City, we're now one game away from a trophyless season after competing for 4 all year. So we've got to try and do it in the Europa League final. We're playing against Lyon, that's the next episode, so I hope you'll come and join me for that one. Let's see where it's being held. I don't recognise the name of that stadium, so let's see where it is. It's over in Serbia, a 55,000 seater, so a brilliant occasion that's going to be. Let's see which teams play there at the moment. Red Star Belgrade in the Serbian Super League, as well as the national team playing at the stadium. So hopefully we'll be able to do something in that one. Andre Hayek's ineligible, but hopefully Brian Barrett will be back for it, and fingers crossed we'll be able to get a trophy on the board, and a European one could be the most important as it opens us up to continental teams. But if you did enjoy this episode and that brilliant effort in the FA Cup final, please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of that performance and whether we can still win the Europa League. I don't think it's hit the dynamics too much. We've still got an excellent dressing room atmosphere, so hopefully that'll serve us well against Lyon, who are littered with world-class players. If we look at their team, they've got players worth 40 or 50 million pound all over the park, and it's going to be a real tough test for us against the 4th place side in Ligue 1. Let me know in the comments whether you think we should move to Manchester United. Obviously, if it's a realistic move, we have to do it. They've got one of the biggest reputations in the world and one of the best sides on paper in Europe as well. But hopefully we can get a move to one of Europe's other big leagues, although that will probably rest on us winning the Europa League. Just as we failed in the final last year, if we do the same this year, it will probably narrow our opportunities down. The likes of Real Madrid and Bayern Munich won't be on the table then. Subscribe to the channel for daily FM19 content from my 2 long-term stories. This one, The Head Coach, where we've obviously got another massive final coming up in the next episode, and our One Club series, part of the furniture with Torquay United. We're well into season 11 of that one, and there's been plenty of drama so far this season, so do go back and check it out if you haven't seen it already. There's also weekly content every Friday from my Snooker 19 career, and then from the end of this month it'll be the turn of Cricket 19, the official game of the Ashes. I've really enjoyed the previous editions made by the same developer, Big Ant, so I'm hoping this game will be just as good, and we'll have loads of content from that at the end of May and start of June. But the Football Manager content's going nowhere. We've still got the 3 episodes a week from each series, so I hope you'll continue to follow along. I really do appreciate your support, and I can't thank you enough for watching, and I hope to see you next time for the Europa League final, where fingers crossed we can finally get a trophy on the board.